Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Chelle, also known as Dr. Test Prep, and we are looking at Unit 2, Lesson 1, the harder questions. So if you went to Khan Academy and in the foundations for algebra, you are struggling, Unit 2, Lesson 1, harder questions. Remember that when you go to the Desmos test practice calculator, you want to make sure you click Choose Assessment, and you want to make sure that you go down to the College Board like that. All right, if you do have my book, Desmos and the PSAT SAT, we are on page 21. All right, let's take a look. In the equation below, A is a constant. For what value of A does the equation have infinitely many solutions? Okay, in the previous video for the easier one, we talked about just type it in. But in this case, because we're comparing, we're going to type in two equations. I like my students to type in f of x and g of x because it allows us to compare a lot more easier. And I just want you to get in the habit of now. So I'm going to put f of x equals -3 plus 4x plus 10. And then on the next line, I'm going to write g of x. And then I'm literally going to write the a plus 2, and then the x plus 7. Now notice how it pops up and it says add slider for A. This is going to be one of our favorite features and we want to do that. So we're going to add the slider for A. Now we have a graph. We have a red graph and a blue graph. The red graph is the original equation. If I move my blue slider, notice how my graph changes. So what we want to do is I'll zoom in a little bit. We want to move the slider so that it matches. Now, you can either move the slider, which is what I'm going to show you, but I'm going to also show you just type in the answer choices because there's some questions, about 30% of your questions are going to be student-generated responses and you won't have multiple choice to help you. So I do want you to learn how to do this without knowing that you have multiple choice options. So if I move it this way, I can see I'm getting super close to where I need to be. And then all of a sudden, they're one line. So if I go down to 1.9, I can see the red. If I go to 2 exactly, I don't see it anymore. And if I go to higher than 2, I see the red again. So I know that in order for them to be infinitely amount, it needs to be 2. So that's my answer. Choice B, A equals 2. Now, the other thing you could have done is instead of using the slider feature, because this is a multiple choice question, I can type in -3 and we can tell that those graphs don't look the same. I can type in 2 for A and it's the same. So that's why it's infinitely many solutions. If it was no solutions, they would be parallel lines. I can type in 1 and they're not the same graph. They have the same intercept, but they're not the same graph. And I can type in -1 and again see they're not the same graph. So that's why the correct answer is 2. And again, I like using the slider feature because you won't always get to have multiple choice. Let's look at the next example. It's the same type of thing. So instead of me retyping everything, if you're following along, which you should be, you should have Desmos open and you should be watching the video. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to type in 2 equations. This is my f of x equation. And this is my g of x. Now, do you technically have to write f of x or g of x? For these problems, no, but down the road, it will matter. So that's why we just learn how to do it now. So I'm going to delete this, highlight delete. So we just have the f of x, and then I copy it. And I do it exactly as it's written. Now, I'm a person who likes to use the keyboard. Remember, if you don't, you can just use that little keyboard that pops up on the bottom. All right, let's go to g of x. I've got, I'll just delete everything so we get in the habit of doing that. A plus 5 is in parentheses, and then I have x, and then I have -8. So again, it doesn't say do we need a slider because we already have the A there, but if I didn't have this, I would have to click, yeah, I want a slider for A. I'm going to zoom out because we want to be able to compare both graphs. So I'm going to just zoom and move this over. And then we start moving A. If I move it this way, I see that it's getting closer to the red line, so I want to move it to the left. Now I went too far, so I'm going to keep moving it back and back, and we can see at -2, they're the same graph. So the correct answer is -2. Now, if we did this the hard way, okay, let me show you the hard way and why you need to watch Dr. Test Prep, because the hard way and how they would show you on Khan is like crazy. First, we would distribute. So we have 3x minus 12 plus 4. And then we would have ax by distributing the x backwards, plus 5. Actually, we don't even need to do that. We'll leave it as a plus 5 times x minus 8. Then we combine all the constants. So over here we have 3x. This would combine to -8. I'm still going to leave the a plus 5 in parentheses. Now I'm going to add 8 to both sides, which makes this cancel. Add 8 to both sides, so this cancels. Now I've got 3x equals a plus 5x. Now I'm going to divide both sides by x. So I'm left with 3 equals a plus 5. And then I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides to get -2 equals a. So yes, can you do it the way that Khan Academy shows you how to do these problems? Absolutely. It works. That's how you would do it algebraically, not using the graphing calculator. Or you can just do it my way and use the Desmos calculator. Like I'm just saying, use a Desmos calculator. That's why these videos are so important. I teach you how to use the Desmos calculator, which the other videos as of 2024 do not have that focus. Let's look at number 7. Look how complex and nasty that is. I'm not even going to bother doing it the old way. We're going to just split that baby in half. Boom. So my first equation I'm going to write. Actually, I'm going to hit this and hit delete all so you can see me start from scratch as I scratch my neck. F of x equals -13 minus 2 times x plus 4. And then for that equals, we're just going on the next line. G of x equals, and there is another way to do it, but I want you to learn this way just because it's going to help us for more challenging questions later. All right, here's that. Now I'm going to put in my slider. And remember, our goal is for the blue to go onto the red. So if I move it this way, I know that it's going in the reverse direction. And then all of a sudden, it's like it's almost there. Do you see how it's like almost there, but not exactly? Because the answer is fractional, I highly doubt that this will be a student response question. So because of that, I still wanted to show you the slider, but we're just going to go in and type in the answer choices. So we've got -3 divided by 2. Nope, those graphs don't look the same. We have -2 divided by 3. Yep, those graphs look the same. So the answer is letter B, -2/3. It's that simple. If we put the other ones in, like let's take out the negative sign. Nope, those graphs aren't the same. If we put in 3 divided by 2, nope, those graphs aren't the same either. In order for it to have infinitely many solutions, the graphs have to be identical. All right, this is Dr. Chelle with Dr. Test Prep. Thank you so much for watching. This was Unit 2, Lesson 1, Harder Questions. See you in the next video. Bye, guys.